Dave Simon and his co-hosts are completing the remaining finishing touches for tonight's episode. If you are watching the replay, you can skip to the 4-minute and 54-second mark to get to Dave's intro. While you are waiting, watching live, take a look at the news and articles about pro wrestling and MMA from The Authority, the Ringside Report Network. Our website is at ringsidereport.net. That's ringsidereport.net.
Please wait. Hold on. Keep waiting. Almost done. 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 Subscriber is speaking at the moment. Subscriber is speaking at the moment. Subscriber is speaking at the moment. Please wait. Hold on. Keep waiting. Almost done. 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 Subscriber is speaking at the moment. Subscriber is speaking at the moment. Subscriber is speaking at the moment.
Welcome to today's broadcast from the Ringside Report Network. We are a viewer and listener-supported creative team. We would really appreciate it if you became a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. While you are waiting, watching live, take a look at the news and articles about pro wrestling and MMA, and while there, check out our exclusive merch, including great jiu-jitsu gear from the Ringside Report Network. Our website is at ringsidereport.net. It's ringsidereport.net.
Subscriber is speaking at the moment.
It is Ringside Report MMA tonight on the show. It's WrestleMania weekend. We'll hear from Freddie on WrestleMania as we gear up for the big pro wrestling show. And, of course, MMA is Islam Makhachev ducking Ilia Topuria. What's next for Alexander Volkanovski? Let's get to all of that.
Let's go!
You know, I'm just caught up. I'm caught up, Freddie, in the WrestleMania excitement, the fervor, the excitement of WrestleMania. We got UFC 314 in the books last weekend, and this weekend it is 2 nights of the biggest show of the year in pro wrestling, WrestleMania.
I want to say something, okay? I think WrestleMania every year should be on Easter weekend. Because if you're going to give me a late finish on Sunday, at least I'm not working on Monday. So, you know, I'm okay with WrestleMania on Easter. Some people might not be okay with it, but I love it.
I agree 100%. So this is good for you. This is the first time they've done WrestleMania this late in the year, usually early April, late March. Now they're doing it Easter weekend, April 19th and 20th. Are you going to be watching WrestleMania this weekend?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
It's WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, I there's 2 shows guarantee I watch every year. It's the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. After that, it's probably SummerSlam and Money in the Bank. And maybe, you know, I add another pay-per-view or 2, but that's pretty much my wrestling every year.
And there's no UFC this weekend. They're off for a week because, you know, I think they're leaving the spot for WrestleMania. They're kind of leaving that weekend open. WrestleMania has been booked for a long time on this weekend. And UFC just taking an off week because it's all part of the same company, right? TKO. They own both. So
it would make sense. I mean, this is the biggest show for the WWE, so why put anything against it?
I was surprised to learn that May 10th, when they run their next pay-per-view, UFC 315, WWE is running Backlash on the same night, though. A little surprised by that.
Interesting, but
yeah,
I mean, I don't think there's that much like crossover fans. Like most people love WWE or love UFC, and like you see, it's WrestleMania, so you'll get a lot of MMA fans that are gonna watch WrestleMania because you know they grew up watching it or whatever reason, and vice versa also happens. Like you'll get some WWE fans and they'll watch a pay-per-view here and there because there's a fighter they like, but they don't watch every pay-per-view. So I don't think that's too bad of an issue. Like WrestleMania is the big night, so I understand not putting anything against that. But in the end, they're 2 different companies, man. They got to be run to each their own.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think there's definitely some synergy more now than ever. We're seeing wrestlers appear at UFC events from the WWE. You know, I'm seeing UFC fighters appearing at WWE shows. So, you know, they're all part of the same company. They're going to be working together in a certain way, but I think you're right as far as the fan base. There's some crossover, but it's not like all WWE fans are going to like UFC and vice versa, but I think there's enough people like me that like both.
Yeah, but I mean, just like there's people that like NFL football or NBA basketball, like I don't see it as hurting each company. Like I think they could both hold a big show on the same night in different cities, and it's not an issue.
How about this? Seth Rollins did an interview recently where he was talking about CM Punk and they're wrestling each other in the WWE. They have a match with Roman Reigns that'll main event on Saturday. And
has Roman said something controversial?
He said some things about Donald Trump.
Okay, because I don't know. I just read that he said something controversial that maybe some people were turning on him, but I didn't take time to click on any article or anything.
Yeah. Roman made a comment about Donald Trump. Triple H commented about Trump as well. They're being asked about Trump. Roman said this about Trump. Before I ask you the Seth Rollins question, Roman said to Vanity Fair, one person was giving us information. One person was answering questions, so it wasn't that hard. When asked if that means that he backed Trump, Reigns pauses for a few seconds. I support our president. Trump is one of those guys where he's got a vast history and a huge background. He's been in entertainment. He's been in big business, politics. At this point, I'm supporting a bright future for our country, positive and competent leadership. For us to be what we're supposed to be a world leader and carry that respect and do what a world power like us should be doing. Reigns makes it clear that he doesn't support everything he does. It's like he needs that adversary, Reigns says. He needs that opposition to bounce off of. He needs that competitive motivation or something. It's not an all-out endorsement of Trump, but it's also not a condemnation, and I think people are looking for a no, I hate that guy, he sucks type of thing, which you're not going to get from Roman. He's going to kind of be in the middle. That was kind of an in-the-middle statement, wasn't it?
I see absolutely nothing wrong in what he said. And
he supports the president as for he's the president of America and he wants America to do well, which you can understand as an American and trying to be kind of in the middle and not really saying one thing or another. He didn't say he's a Trump supporter or he likes what he's doing with tariffs or whatever. He just said, like, you know, he's a guy, he's been around. He kind of added some stuff there. Like he's been in entertainment, he's been in big business. He's kind of saying, it sounds like he's saying positive things about him, but I don't know. I didn't take it as like a great answer, but I didn't take it as like the worst thing he could have said. I think Triple H gave a worse answer to that question. I wish they would ask CM Punk because I think his answer would be very different. So,
what did Triple H say?
Triple H said all sorts of stuff like, he's a heel. He's so great. That's why people love him. It's like just dumb shit, just dumb stuff, man. Triple H said a lot of dumb stuff this week, and I'm going to address a lot of it tomorrow on the show. Tomorrow's show will be filled with me making fun of how stupid Triple H is and how dumb the things he says are.
People seem to be mad with Triple H and his booking of WrestleMania right now. Like I'm reading, people don't seem very hyped for WrestleMania. No, am I wrong?
It's very weak. The build to WrestleMania has been very weak. Johnny North put it best to me in a text message, I think today, when he told me it's like, it feels like we've been on pause since Elimination Chamber. It feels like they booked everything at the end of the chamber. Everything was kind of set, and now we've just been wasting time until WrestleMania. It's been like a month and a half of doing nothing on TV. Very boring. And the card on paper isn't even that compelling. So, yeah, I think people are upset. We'll see what the reaction is to WrestleMania. I think the performers are going to deliver, but as far as the booking decisions and who wins and who loses, we'll see how people react to all that. I'm not sure how it's going to go. Do you want to know what's going to happen at WrestleMania? Actually, before that, Fred, I wanted to ask you about Seth Rollins. And he talked about CM Punk, and, they don't like each other, and it seems like they really don't like each other. And Seth floated the idea of fighting Punk one time in the UFC, for real, because he dislikes him that much, and he thinks he could beat him. Now, I would want to see that. I would want to see pro wrestlers who either don't like each other or, are fine with each other but are willing to fight each other.
Celebrity fighting.
I want to see them fight in the UFC against each other. No?
But I got a better one for you, Dave. Like, I agree. You're right. They should do that. And I got a better one that I know you'll want to see, man. I think I read like something about Drake and Kendrick boxing or something, man. They should fight, man. I used to say the biggest fight that you could do is The Rock against Vin Diesel, but both these guys are now old and not that relevant.
Yeah.
The biggest fight you could do right now is probably Drake against Kendrick Lamar. If anybody could pull that off, that's the biggest fight you could do. And yeah, just do Seth Rollins and CM Punk on the undercard.
The problem is with Drake and Kendrick Lamar, they make far more money writing songs about each other than they could possibly make boxing each other. Like no one.
I mean, somebody
outside of maybe the Saudis, you know.
Somebody should throw them like $100 million each, man, to fight, man.
The Saudis could probably do that, but even then, like, is it worth it for them? They make a lot of money, you know? You got to pay those guys a lot. But I think, you know, celebrity MMA, pro wrestlers in MMA, it works. Brock Lesnar sold a lot of pay-per-views. Sold a lot of pay-per-views for the UFC. They have not had a heavyweight champion that has been a bigger draw than Brock Lesnar. And I would include John Jones on that list. Right? Like, Brock was a mega star for the UFC. He was huge. He sold big-time pay-per-views. Everybody wanted to see Brock, especially when Brock was, like, on top and he had that run as heavyweight champ. He was so big. I'm saying it works. I'm not saying one of these WWE guys could come over to the UFC and become heavyweight champion again. I don't know any of them that could do that. Like Chad Gable could make a run at the something. Like, he's pretty impressive. You know, some of those guys in the WWE are pretty good. That guy that wrestled Rey Mysterio this week on Raw, that like Olympic guy, I don't know, he's like a NC2A wrestler. He's one of the Gable's goons. I don't even know his name, but he looked pretty impressive, and he's got a real background. Like some of these WWE guys can wrestle for real.
El Grande Americano, who would be great.
He would be a top-notch UFC superstar. That guy. Plus, he's got the chin, you know? He's going to be great. Would you like to see that, though? Like Seth and Punk fight each other in the UFC? Wouldn't that be awesome? I feel like that would be a big draw. I don't know if UFC fans would accept it. Like, they might be like, what is this sideshow on this UFC pay-per-view? You know?
You're probably right. Like, there's something of a sideshow. I don't know if it has its place on a UFC card, but I would watch it for sure, man. Come on, man. I think they should start doing it.
If they're gonna do an MMA fight, like if the WWE is gonna explore that, which they're not right now, but Seth just kind of floated the idea. But say they were serious and somebody took Seth seriously, why wouldn't they do it in the UFC? Like, these guys aren't fighting other people on the roster. They're not real UFC fighters. They're fighting each other in an MMA fight, and they want it to be televised. So if the WWE has these guys under contract, and TKO is the parent company to WWE and the UFC, why wouldn't that fight take place in the UFC? And if you're the UFC, I know you want to maintain the integrity of the sport or whatever, but you did sign CM Punk to a fight contract. So you kind of threw that out the window back then.
I mean, you signed James Toney. You signed, there's been a couple of freak shows there.
So sign Seth and Punk to fight each other one time on a pay-per-view, and it could be the co-main event.
Now let me just play devil's advocate. Like, imagine Seth Rollins being a worse fighter than CM Punk. You know,
that'd be so funny.
That would be like some very bad quality fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes them away from pro wrestling because they have to train, and if they get hurt, and there's a lot that goes into it. Like, as far as the pro wrestling standpoint of it, there's a lot of negatives. But if you're an MMA fan, I think there's positives, mostly positives. But as far as pro wrestling, it's like, well, why would they do that? They're much better at pro wrestling.
That's why it won't happen.
Just
at
do
least
that. Yeah.
At least for the time that they're under WWE contract, I don't see that happening.
I think you're right. But, you know, if they could stay on the road, stay wrestling for WWE, take a little bit of time off and do a fight. I mean, WWE did Brawl for All. They did real fights. Kind of real fights. Like, they did a real fight tournament at one point with their wrestlers fighting each other. People say it turned out horribly, but I thought the concept was cool. Let's see the pro wrestlers fight each other for real and find out who the toughest is among these guys. It's fun.
So who wins the triple threat?
Seth, I think.
For real?
Yeah, I'm going with Seth. I think he needs it more. I think he'll probably align with Heyman at the end of the night. I think Seth will get the grand prize. He'll get the Lady Heyman. Everybody's fighting for Paul Heyman's love. I think Seth will win it in the end. It's so silly. He's got to come to the ring with me. No, I want him to come to the ring with me. These are grown men fighting over this.
But why is this the main event, man? What happened to Gunther against Jey Uso, man? What happened to the hype behind Jey Uso, man? Like, when he won the Royal Rumble, I was like, okay, I'm not sure about this. But then if I see what's happening right now, I'm pretty much like vindicated where I was right of saying like, what the fuck is this? Why did they put the like what? They're gonna be the first fight of WrestleMania. They're gonna open up WrestleMania.
Yep, they're opening night 1 of WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title after Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble.
That's not main eventing. That's not main eventing.
No, when you win the Rumble, you're supposed to main event WrestleMania.
They're curtain jerkers.
Yeah, they're opening the show. They're the first match on the first night for the world title. And the main event is Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. And they're the main event of night 1 because, you know, they're the real stars. I mean, I totally get it. It makes a lot of sense to me. Gunther and Jay were never going to close the show when you have Roman headlining one show and John Cena and Cody headlining the other one. Those shows are built around those guys. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins in a triple threat is the night 1 main event. You've got Tiffany Stratton defending her women's championship against Charlotte Flair. Those two seem to really not like each other. There's some real heat there. Put them in the UFC. Good God almighty. LA Knight will defend the U.S. title against Jacob Fatu. What's your level of interest for that one, Fred? Yeah, right? You don't like LA Knight? You don't like him?
I mean, you're talking to a guy that doesn't follow the week to week at all. You know, the last show I watched part of Elimination Chamber, and it was at the Quintet event. So, you know, I didn't really watch it.
Yeah, you watched that with me.
Before that, I watched Royal Rumble. So, like, even like Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, I'm like, okay, I'm not too sure. LA Knight, he's kind of cool, but
yeah,
I'm not sure, man. Jacob Fatu, I'm not that high on him.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. I hope they deliver a good match.
I know you love El Grande Americano, though, right? From the Gulf of America. You like this. This is right up your alley, this gimmick. This is perfect for you. This speaks to you.
Yeah, man. The only thing that would make it better is if they figured out how a way to team him up with Chad Gable, man. That'd be the greatest team ever.
I think that the big swerve in that match is that Chad Gable will be there with El Grande Americano at the same time. I think that's going to be the big reveal. And Rey Mysterio will lose to El Grande Americano. Either Gable will start the match as El Grande Americano and like roll under the ring, and then a different El Grande Americano will come out from under the ring, and then Gable will change, and then he'll roll out later and he'll appear and he'll be like, what the hell? What's he doing here? You know, that type of thing.
A bit like Doink against Crush.
Yeah, exactly. They could do one of those, or they could do a thing where Gable never comes out as El Grande Americano, where you get a guy who kind of looks like Gable. Maybe you draw on some Gable tattoos. You get him to play El Grande. He wrestles Rey. Maybe it's a wrestler you're debuting. Maybe it's somebody we already know. And then Gable comes out, and it's like, what the hell? Gable distracts Rey, and Rey is shocked, of course, when he sees Gable, thinking he's wrestling Gable under the mask. There's a variety of ways to do it. I think the under the ring deal with a second El Grande Americano is the best way to do it. So I hope they do that. And I think the second El Grande Americano should be Otis to make it like so obvious. And you go, what the hell's going on here? Big reveal. It's Otis. What? It's R-Truth. He's also El Grande Americano. The War Raiders will wrestle the New Day. War Raiders defending the WWE Tag Team titles in that one, Fred. And then there's Gunther defending his world title against Jey Uso. Do you like Gunther?
I mean, I used to like him when I saw him. He put on a good match, but right now I'm wondering what's happening with him. And I'm reading that he's probably giving the belt away. So
Yeah.
that's not very fun. And he's gonna take a break. I guess he's been working hard for a while. He needs a little break.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of the break.
He's taking a couple of months off, maybe after WrestleMania.
Wow. Yeah. Night 2, we've got Cody Rhodes main eventing against the evil John Cena. And that's sure to be exciting. Travis Scott will be there. Probably The Rock. We're hoping The Rock. It would make sense if he was there. So that would be fun. Damian Priest wrestling Drew McIntyre.
What's a Sin City street fight? It's basically a street fight.
Yeah.
And it's in Sin City.
Okay. Yeah. Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio in a 4-way for the Intercontinental title, Fred. That one should be actually pretty good.
Go Dirty Dom.
Yeah, who doesn't love Dirty Dom? I think that'd be so funny if he won. AJ Styles is wrestling Logan Paul. Logan Paul on this one. AJ versus Logan. Speaking of AJ, AJ's not here tonight. We haven't even mentioned it. Can we talk about why AJ's not here? Ooh, home run. Oswaldo Cabrera. 3-2. Yanks down 3-2 now in the 5th. Solo shot for Cabrera. I'm watching the Yankees. AJ said in the chat that he's got to get ready for Easter. He's not on the show tonight because he's got to prepare for Easter. Isn't Easter like Sunday? I mean, tomorrow is a Good Friday, right? That's another thing. Right?
Yeah, tomorrow's Good Friday.
But he said he's got to get ready for Easter. Well, I don't even know what that means.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow he has something. Got to get ready. I don't know, man. He's got to shop. I don't know, man.
He's got to do Easter stuff, he says. He's off because he's got to do Easter stuff. So that's where AJ is. I'm not sure what Easter stuff means. Is he just buying chocolate eggs? Buying, like, chocolate rabbits? Like, I don't...
What if maybe, like, he's receiving some family or whatever, and he needs to go buy groceries and whatever? I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah. But I'm just surprised by all the preparation for Easter. Like Johnny North says in the chat, lots of prep.
Well, I mean,
prep.
I celebrated Easter last week with my mom because this week I can't because I'm doing ADCC. But
yes,
like Easter is still a big holiday, man. For some people, like it's not to me. I don't really care about the religious aspect or all that. But man, I love spending time with my family. So love to see my mom, things like that. Go Easter.
Yes. It's definitely a big holiday weekend, right, Fred? It's Easter, WrestleMania for all of us who are still following the religion of McMahonism. You know, WrestleMania is our high holiday of the year. And then, of course, for us, Fred, as well as many others, it's 420 on Sunday. So, like, a very big religious weekend for many of us with WrestleMania, Easter, and 420. And, of course, Passover still happening. So much going on. So much going on. And you mentioned it, Fred, you're doing ADCC this weekend. We should, go Fred. Fred is competing at the ADCC Jiu-Jitsu this weekend. Competing. Fred.
Watch me on Flow Grappling.
Oh, shit. Yo, watch Fred on Flow Grappling. Competing this weekend. That's sick. Look at Fred. Fred is a jiu-jitsu superstar. So we're very proud of Fred representing 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He's gonna be there on Saturday, and I hope to be there as well if it's early enough in the day, and I can make it.
So.
Yeah, AJ's planning on going too. We're going to support our boy Fred. Whew. So we're very excited about that. Fred, you excited? Fred's excited.
Yeah. I mean, I've been preparing for a while, so yeah, I'm happy. I
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah. We're not going to give away any of the secrets. The other people in the bracket may be watching, so we're not going to give away any of the secret plans. But Fred, of course, has secret plans. He's got many tricks up his sleeve that we will not reveal here. You know? Yeah, don't look there. Don't reveal them, Fred. Don't look up the sleeve. Okay, Islam Makhachev is not fighting Ilia Topuria yet that we know of. It's like not happening.
Why?
Ilia Topuria was on the Joe Rogan show, and he's like, Islam, I don't know what's going on. Trying to get this fight going, and it doesn't seem like they want to do it. But it seems like at a certain point, we're getting closer and closer to a situation where you need to find an opponent for Islam. Like the UFC is going to need to find Islam's next fight. And it feels like it should be Ilia Topuria, but Topuria is thinking like Islam is avoiding the fight. Khabib was out there saying that they feel like Arman Tsarukyan is a tougher fight than Ilia, and Ilia doesn't really deserve the fight. Islam has been out there saying that Ilia should have to fight some number one contenders at lightweight before he gets a shot against him, even though Ilia has been the featherweight champion and been really dominant and undefeated and just crushing everybody. He moves up to 155. He vacates the featherweight title. You figure he's going to get the title shot against Islam, but it's been taking a while. And more I'm starting to wonder, when are they going to do this? Are they going to do this? I think Dricus Khamzat, from what Dana White was saying at the press conference, it seemed like after the UFC pay-per-view on Saturday, Dana did a press conference, and he seemed to be leaning towards Dricus Khamzat for International Fight Week at the end of June for that 4th of July week card. Which means it's not going to be Islam and Ilia. It's going to be probably Dricus and Khamzat, which is a great fight. Like, I'm down with that. We talked about it, I think it was last week, like what the potential fights could be for that weekend. Was that last week or the week before? I don't know. But we talked about it, right? And we said Dricus Khamzat, that's a big one. Like, they need a big fight for that weekend. And we also said Islam and Ilia. But it doesn't look like it's going to be Islam and Ilia, at least not in July or June. Maybe end of July, early August. Arman Tsarukyan thinks that Ilia is going to get the fight. Arman Tsarukyan said to the Jackson podcast, I think Ilia is going to fight for the belt, for sure. I think he left 145 because they said, we're going to give you the title fight. Islam doesn't want to fight him because if he wins, people are going to say you, again, beat 145ers. If Islam beats me, I think he's done with this division. He beat everybody. He just got to beat me, then people can say that. If Islam doesn't move up, then yeah, he'll fight Ilia Topuria. So Arman is thinking that the UFC, because Ilia Arman is thinking what we're thinking, right? Ilia dropped the belt. He's moving up. He's probably going to fight Islam. But he's also saying that, well, Islam doesn't want to fight Ilia because it's like, if he beats him, it's just another 145er like Volkanovski, and people aren't going to be that impressed. But if he beats Arman, then he's cleaned out the 155 division, and there's really nobody else left to beat. That might be the thought process on Islam and his camp. It might be.
You would be wrong. You would be wrong, though, because I think beating Topuria is an excellent win on your record, and beating Tsarukyan also. Like Islam right now should be looking to stay at welterweight, man. He still has some at lightweight. Stay at lightweight. You still have some challenges there, man. You don't need to go up right now, man, unless the weight cut is really too hard, which it might be. Who knows, man? But all these guys going up in weight. Same thing for Topuria, man. If you don't get that title shot, man, I find that you vacated that title too quick, man. Like, and when he vacated the title, I have to believe he had some conversations with the UFC, with Dana, saying like, okay, I'm vacating, I'm getting the title shot. Like, there has to be some type of conversation that goes there.
You would think, right? That's why I don't understand why this isn't a done deal. It's weird. Like, why hasn't the UFC said, yeah, this is the fight we're going to do? This is the plan. I think it's because there's a holdup. Like, Islam and his team are not so into the fight. Ilya also said at one point he was offered a Conor McGregor fight, and he'd still be interested in that fight if it were to present itself.
I don't think Conor wants that.
I don't think Conor wants to fight in the UFC anymore. I really don't. I think it's over with Conor, right? I think the game has moved on. We've kind of we're going to forget about him and kind of move on, right?
I mean, if he's really worth like almost $1 billion or whatever, like, what's the point, man? Like, there's no point for him to come back and fight.
I don't disagree. But it seems like his whole identity is like, oh, I'm going to fight and I'm going to, but he doesn't. And unless he gives the UFC those 2 fights on his contract, he can't go do bare knuckle or all that. Like, he talks about doing all this stuff, right? He talks a big game. I feel like he wants to do something, just maybe not compete at the highest level in MMA. I think he'd rather do bare knuckle fighting. I think that's kind of where his MMA career and skills are at this point. He's more of a, I think if Conor McGregor didn't have like the personality, right? And he was just a UFC fighter, at this point he'd be washed out. I don't think he'd still be on the roster, or if he was, he'd be like beaten several times. So, BKFC sounds about right for him. It's too bad. Freddie, the Yankees have tied it up in the 5th inning. It's a 3-3 game in Tampa.
Good for them.
Tampa's stadium got ravaged by a hurricane, so they're playing at the Yankees spring training field, George Steinbrenner Field. So it's kind of a home game for the Yankees. It's their facility. They own it. They're just lending it to the Tampa Rays this season.
It's probably one of the rare games that's sold out.
Yes.
Tampa.
Yes, it is. And apparently tickets on the secondary market were very high because people want to see the Yankees. Because they're a hot ticket, because they're the best. They're the first place Yankees. They just swept the Kansas City Royals. And I saw Johnny North is in the chat, and he said, Rays 3, Yankees 1, bottom 4. Why don't you give me a score update now, Johnny? It's 3-3. Also, how are your Red Sox doing? I'll tell you how they're doing. Not good. They're, at least they're playing 500 baseball. They're 10-10. Yanks 11-7.
I mean, they're 2 games behind.
Yeah, they were doing worse a couple days ago. I guess they won a couple. They lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox. That was bad. They must have won a couple games, the Red Sox. How are they doing right now? Are they about to lose?
They won the last 2.
Yeah, there you go. That's why. So they've won a couple in a row. They're not playing tonight.
Dodgers are not in first.
Oh, they're playing the White Sox again? Tomorrow? That's ridiculous. Are the Dodgers back in first?
No, they're in second.
Oh, yeah. Padres. Giants are right there, too. The NL West is the best division in baseball right now. They're very good. The Padres, the Giants, and the Dodgers, of course, are excellent. But
Arizona.
There could be a situation. The D-backs are good, too. They're 12-7. It's a very deep division. The Rockies are terrible, but there's 4 teams in that division that are excellent. And the crazy part is 2 of those teams will not make the playoffs.
Actually, the 4 best winning percentage in all MLB are in that division.
Yep. But because of the way baseball is structured, if the season were to end today, which it's still early, but like they wouldn't make the playoffs. 2 of them wouldn't make the playoffs. Like the Giants have a 13-6 record. That's good enough. They're in 3rd place right now in the West, right? That's
how many wild card? There are 3 wild card, man. They could all be wild card.
But wouldn't it be? Isn't it like the best 2nd place team? Don't you have to be 2nd place?
No. You could have multiple wild cards in the same division.
They could have that many wild cards in the West?
Of course.
Is that really how it works? I guess you're right. Oh, yeah, it does work. Okay, well, that's good then. I thought it was the 2nd place team. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so the wild cards will probably be all from the NL West. 4 out of 5 teams in the NL West are going to make the playoffs. That's ridiculous.
It's a bit early to predict.
I know, but they're good teams. Hopefully the Yankees will make the playoffs. They're in 1st place in the East right now. They're pretty good. They're pretty good so far.
Aaron Judge is going to choke again in the playoffs.
Well, his regular season has been incredible so far. So, I mean, if he gets us there and then is kind of mediocre in the playoffs, I think we might have to accept that. Because he gets us there. He's the MVP. Like, yeah, he was a bad playoff performer, but he also won the MVP in the American League last year. He was also the best player in baseball. Also, ask Juan Soto about Aaron Judge. You hear what Soto said? Soto's like, yeah, not doing so good. It helps when you're hitting in front of the best hitter in baseball. He misses hitting because he's not doing so well. They paid him all sorts of money, and it turns out, hey, he's not as good when he's not hitting in front of Aaron Judge because he's not getting as many pitches to hit because they're not trying to throw to him as much because Judge isn't the threat in the on-deck circle. He does have, Pete Alonso, I think, on deck, who's batting, 400. So people were kind of saying, what are you saying, Soto? The guy batting behind you is pretty good. He's no Aaron Judge, but he's pretty good. All right, that's baseball show. That's the baseball and pro wrestling and MMA show for tonight, Fred. Thank you. Thank you, Fred. You're the best. Good luck at ADCC this weekend. We are all rooting for you. The whole Ringside Report team is behind Freddie, just like we're behind Johnny when he goes out and fights for us. Freddie goes out and fights for us. AJ and I are sitting back. We're doing some of the talking. We're not fighting for the Ringside Report Network too much. We should do something, me and AJ. Represent for the brand. Maybe we'll enter some sort of dance competition. Or jiu-jitsu. We could do jiu-jitsu too. But it occurred to me when we were talking about this jiu-jitsu, Fred, if I were to enter this competition, I would be in your division.
Right now, yeah.
That wouldn't be good. That'd be awkward.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I think if I were to enter a jiu-jitsu competition, it would have to be one that you're not in.
But honestly, I could go down more in weight because I'm 148. I'm fighting at 154, but the other division is 143. I could have went down to 143.
Okay. Well, then, if we are to compete in the same thing, I will be in the heavier weight class so I can cut less weight. Depending on where we are in our respective weights at the time. I might be lighter. You know what I mean? Things fluctuate. Things happen. All right. Well, Fred, you're the best. Go Yankees. Go WrestleMania. We're going to have lots of WrestleMania coverage all weekend long. I'll be back tomorrow night to preview the show. We'll preview WrestleMania. We'll talk about Triple H. We'll talk about AEW. AEW Dynamite has now more episodes on TBS than Nitro ever had. There have been more episodes of AEW Dynamite. It's gone longer. It's had a longer run than WCW Nitro, which seems wrong, but it's true. It's true. And they did that this past week. Had a pretty good show on Dynamite this week. We'll talk about AEW and WrestleMania tomorrow night on Wrestling Uncensored. And then after night 1, we'll be back here for the WrestleMania Night 1 post show. After night 2, we'll be back here for the WrestleMania Night 2 post show. We've got you covered all weekend long with WrestleMania coverage right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word. Please share this episode on whichever social media platform you use. Add a comment below and consider reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at